Welcome to Christ Church Camden. My name is Dylan Wilson, and I'm going to 11th grade at Camden County High School. Today, you will see a bunch of kids and students serving around the building because today is Chaos Takeover. If you're a guest, we're so glad that you are here, and we want to know you're here. So if you would scan that QR code and fill out the connection card, that would be great. While you're doing that, go ahead, stand up, and say hey to a neighbor, and a special welcome to those joining us online today.
Good morning. You guys ready to worship? Let's bring some youth flavor today.
Let the king of my heart be the mountain where I run, the fountain I drink from. Oh, he is my song. Let the king of my heart be the shadow where I hide, the ransom for my life. Oh, he is my song. You are good, oh, you are good, you're good, oh, you are good, you're good, oh, you are good, you're good, oh, let the king of my heart be the wind inside my sails, the anchor in the waves. Oh, he is my song. Let the king of my heart be the fire inside my veins, the echo of my days. Oh, he is my song. Let the king of my heart be the wind inside my sails, the anchor in the waves. Oh, he is my song. Let the king of my heart be the fire inside my veins, the echo of my days. Oh, he is my song. You are good, you're good. You are good, you're good. Oh, you are good, you're good. Oh, you are good, you're good. You're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let, you're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let, you're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let, you're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let, you're never gonna let me down. You are good, you're good. Oh, you are good, you're good. Oh, you are good, you're good. Oh, you Oh, you are good, you're good. Oh, you are good, you're good. Oh. Darkness, we were waiting
Without hope, without light, till from heaven you came running. There was mercy in
your eyes to fulfill the law and prophets. To a virgin came the word from
the throne of endless glory.
to a cradle in the dirt. Praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit, three in one. God of glory and majesty, praise forever to the King of Kings. To reveal the kingdom come and to reconcile the lost, to redeem the whole creation. You did not despise the cross, for even in your suffering, you saw to the other side, knowing this was our salvation. Jesus, for our sake, you died. Praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit, three in one. God of glory and majesty, praise forever to the King of Kings. The morning that you rose and held its breath,
Till that stone was moved for good,
for the Lamb had conquered death, and the dead rose from their tombs, and the angels stood in awe, for the souls of all who come to the Father are restored, and the Christ of Church was born. Now this gospel truth of all shall not kneel, shall not fade. By His blood and in His name, in His freedom I am free. For the love of Jesus Christ, who has resurrected me. Praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit, three in one. God of glory, majesty, praise forever to the King of Kings. Praise forever to the King of Kings.
Good morning, everybody. You guys can go ahead and have a seat. My name is Shelby Smiley, and I'm the Digital Communications Director here, and it's the best job in the world. I get to do all things pictures and storytelling through videos, and I even got to make the reading plans that you'll find in the seat in front of you. So next week we're starting a new series called Walk This Way. It'll be a 9-week series walking through the book of Proverbs together. And if you follow along with that reading plan, by the end of the summer, you'll have read the book of Proverbs twice. I have a feeling it's going to be super awesome, and every day you'll be receiving a text with a video of someone that goes to our church, someone that you sit next to in service, someone that serves and holds a door for you. It's going to be amazing, so be looking out for those reminders and follow along. We're starting on Thursday, even though the series starts on Sunday. So June 1st, we're kicking it off. So set a reminder, that way we can all do it together, okay? And to go along with that, we're going to do some super fun things this summer, like a Hawaiian shirt day and a water day. And I keep hearing that we might possibly be having live music one day. So if you don't like the church Facebook page or follow the Instagram, be sure to go ahead and do that so you can get a reminder and wear the perfect attire and invite all your friends because it's going to be awesome. So like I said, I'm the Digital Communications Director, but I also had the privilege of growing up in church here from the time I was in 6th grade to 12th grade, and I'm still here, so I never left. When I showed up in 6th grade, I was a super angry and insecure kid, but because of a lot of the people that still come to church here that poured into me, my life looks really different, and I can't imagine how I would have turned out if it hadn't been for the faithfulness and just the love that they showed me of caring for me and sticking by me when I'm sure I was probably pretty disrespectful and rude at times. And so I've always been so grateful to be a part of a church like that. And I remember one time specifically, I was asked to memorize a Bible verse. And sadly, my brain does not remember it perfectly, so I'm going to read it to you guys real quick. But it's Romans 8:38 and 39, and it says, "For I am convinced that neither death nor life, nor angels nor demons, neither the present nor the future, nor any powers, neither height nor depth, nor anything in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God that is in Jesus Christ our Lord." And so I memorized that in 11th grade, like I said, and then it stuck with me as a sophomore in college who didn't know what it looked like to go to church in college, and a heartbroken 20-year-old, and then even now as someone who works at a church. I think it's a beautiful reminder that nothing that you or I do can separate us from the love that God has for us. And so that's just one of the things I would have missed out on if I wasn't a part of a church that invested in students. We invested in students back then for things like color fights, which were kind of iconic if you've heard about them. And that was an easy invite for me to say, hey, come on, come to church with me. And those friends that came along pushed me along the way. And they kept me coming back because I knew that they were experiencing something that they might not experience anywhere else. And so we still push a lot and we care a lot about students and invest in students. We have camps coming up and amazing events all throughout the summer to, again, make it easy to invite people to come along and experience what's happening here. And so if you want to partner with us today in generosity, you can scan the QR code on your program or leave that with the other ushers in the back of the room. And so, like I said, I have a ton of stories. 7 years of summer camp, almost 3 years now of leading. That 10 years of summer camp earns you some stories. If you've ever been to camp, you know that. I'll save you the trouble and let you imagine what all happened. Lots of sand, lots of worship, and a lot of good times. One time I remember specifically, though, that really impacted me as a student here. I got to lead a kindergarten class back in Christ Kids. And the way I remember it, I was there every week. Like, I was always there for those kids. I loved them. It was like the greatest honor to me to lead that kindergarten class. And so it's really cool and also a little bit terrifying because those kids actually just finished 6th grade somehow. I feel a little bit like an old lady, but it's also really honoring to sit back and see what other volunteers have done in their lives and what their parents are instilling in them and stuff. And so a lot of those kids are still here, like Alina and Peyton, and even a kid named Oliver. And I bring him up specifically because he came in this week with his small group leader and some other really great kids, and they sat down and they talked about small groups and they talked about life and they talked about what it looks like to be a part of a Christian community in middle and high school. And so go ahead and check this video out.
3, 2, 1.
Okay. Let's see, we're gonna find some, wait a minute. Oh yeah. I think, Oliver! I got it. Now we need a shirt to go with.
Stop. It's just stop.
Oh no, absolutely.
Stop, Harry. Stop.
All right, we're good.
Wait, no.
All right. Unless we get some cowboy boots. Stop! 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 I think it's perfect.
Hold on, I could actually put you in this. Sparkles. Do you need a purple blazer?
Is it the right size?
I don't know. Yep.
Okay. Yep.
Add some flavor. Oh wait, hold on. Is there a pink one? If there's a pink one, that's better. Oh yes. It's actually play. I kind of love it.
Oh, I didn't bring socks. I'm gonna get foot fungus.
Backwards jersey, inside out.
Oh.
Hey, I'm ready. Where are the times at? Oh no. This is gonna be a good video.
Hey, I'm Oliver, and something I want to share with you guys is that I am a wonderful person.
Hey, church, I'm Harry, and I'm a leader in chaos in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grades, along with other leaders.
Hi, I'm Braylon. I'm in 10th grade now. Well, I was in 9th, but now I'm in 10th, so.
Hello, my name is Hope, and I'm the small group leader for the upcoming 10th grade girls.
Hi, my name is Brian Fitzwater, and I just graduated high school.
Hey, I'm Dallas. I've been helping out with high schoolers for a couple of years now.
Mr. Oliver, rockin' outfit.
Thank you.
Like your choice of style, man. So,
Okay.
question number 1. Guess what year I was born?
1959?
Older.
1954.
Oh, you nailed it. That's awesome. What year were you born?
2011.
2011. So let's see. I don't know if I can do that math. It's like a lot of years different, right? All right, cool.
Guess what year I was born?
Okay, I think 97 or 98. 97?
97.
I knew it because my stepmom was born in 95.
1986.
That's actually that's not that far off. 88. Well done.
What's your favorite movie?
Let's see. I have a lot of favorite movies, but I think the one that almost made me die laughing was Blazing Saddles. But right close to that was the first Star Wars.
Yeah, first Star Wars is a good movie.
Yeah, for sure.
What's your favorite snack?
Oh, you know the Cape Cod, like salt and vinegar chips?
Oh, you're
I like
bougie.
those.
It has to be. Well, I guess crab legs isn't considered a snack, but I guess Gushers because they're like explode in your mouth. They're really good. Or Pop Rocks. Pop Rocks used to be really good when I used to have them when I was younger.
What is your favorite part of house parties and why?
Your wife's cookies.
Nice.
They're really. One time I ate like 7. And
They are
and the people around me. Also, I can't like just say the cookies because then it just seems like I'm mooching off the cookies just for the house party. But it's not that. I love the people there too. And you're pretty cool.
Thanks, man.
So what's your favorite part of house parties and why?
That we get to enjoy time with other people as like friends and people in the Christian family or in your Christian family, and like being able to learn about God with your friends.
Awesome. I like the snacks. But so what's your next question?
Do you
That
have
was
a
all
favorite,
good, too.
Do you have a favorite Bible verse?
Lots of favorite Bible verses, but of course the one that we see on billboards is John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life.
The next question was, what is it? So you basically just nailed it.
All right, good. I get extra points.
Why did you want to serve as a leader at Chaos?
So I actually grew up going through Chaos. I started going my sophomore year of high school, and I just really wanted to be a leader in Chaos, to be the leader that I could have needed at that age. Just to encourage you guys through every stage of life, the stress of middle school, relationships, going off to college, doing a lot of that stuff already. I just wanted to help guide you guys through that and live like a Christian lifestyle while the world kind of pulls you in different directions. What is something you've learned at house parties?
I feel like I've learned that it's good to have a strong Christian community because I feel like there's so many people you meet in high school and middle school, and not all of them are going to be like good influences. And I feel like a lot of the people that we go to house parties with and like chaos in general, they're normally good people, and it's fun to surround yourself in front of them, and they like always try to make you show your best self. And the people at school aren't always the greatest, I guess. Some of them don't have a lot that they're wanting to be, and they're not good influences on you, but a lot of people that go to house parties are.
What is something that you learned at house parties?
That friendship is important, and other people can definitely help you with your path of God.
That's very good. That's very true.
Why did you want to serve as a leader at Chaos?
Well, I got coerced into it, actually. My arm was twisted very much, and then finally I said, all right, Uncle, I will serve in Chaos. But actually, I thought it would be a neat opportunity to get to know the kid. I mean, you guys are the next generation. I mean, you're going to take over when I'm not here. And, I thought what a neat opportunity to find out what things you're struggling with, to find out things that are common in where you are in your growing up and where I was when I was your age. And there's a lot of similarities. A lot of things have changed culturally, but a lot of things remain the same in terms of the struggles and the fears and the hopes and whatnot that we have. And I said, let's give it a try. Why not? I think it'd be great.
What's the funniest thing that has happened at a house party?
I would say it was when the cops came by and they wanted to talk about why Nicole was parked basically in the middle of the street instead of on the sidewalk, and I had to go talk him down and then get everybody out to move their vehicles off the sidewalk and into other people's driveways.
That is definitely something that Nicole would do.
Well, okay, yeah, this is one of those that you had to be there to get the humor in it. But one house party, one of our other leaders, Jaden, was very much into getting everybody to do the gritty. And so we have a leader who's serves in the Navy, and we appreciate his service. His name is Mr. Roland Swain, and we basically all goaded him into doing the gritty, which I have on film. It's hysterical. He did a great job, so congratulations, Roland. And I have the video if anybody wants to see it, so just come see me after church.
How has your group impacted your life?
I feel like I've made a lot of lifelong friends in my group, because some of them left. Like whenever we started in middle school, a few of them left, but a lot of them stayed. And they're all of them have we became friends. Like in middle school, we didn't all go to the same school, but I think whenever we started high school, we all were friends, and we had friends when we first went there. And because it's scary going from middle school to high school, I was literally terrified. I cried the night before. I was like, I'm not gonna have any friends. They're all leaving me. But I actually ended up having a lot of girls that I had in my house party, in my group. And I actually had a lot of friends when I went to high school.
Yeah, I would say you guys are really close. You guys do
we've
stuff
gotten
together outside of school and house parties. How has your leader impacted you?
I feel like I know I have someone to always talk to. I feel like you're always there. And you've gone through a lot of the same things we go through, and I feel like we always can, talk to you. So I feel like you've impacted my life and let me just always know I have someone there if I can't talk to anyone. Because sometimes it's you don't want to talk to people your age about things. And so I feel like having that person older than you is good to talk to.
How has your leader impacted your life?
Dallas, I think Dallas has been I wouldn't say, he's been a third father figure, because it goes my dad, God, and then you. Because I've looked up to you because I love how you don't even have children our age, but you're still providing to the community, and I think that's awesome. And especially since you have younger kids, you think you don't have enough time for this, but you do. You make time for us, and that's awesome.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Can we hug?
All right, there you go.
Thank you for this awesome outfit.
Hey, I love the Adam Sandler look, so thanks, Oliver.
You're welcome.
You rocked it.
You're welcome.
What's up? Welcome to Christ Church Camden at Chaos Takeover. An awesome Sunday where we just let our students kind of be front and center. And Man, I loved that video. I loved making that video. I loved Shelby did an awesome job. I liked just being there in the background and watching as they scoured Goodwill to find the ugliest things they could possibly find. And then sitting behind those conversations, behind the camera in those conversations was like, I think it was like good for my soul. And it was just really, really cool. And the outfits were immaculate. I want to say this every chance I get. This is the absolute best job. In case you don't know, I'm Dan and I get to be our student pastor. And this is my dream job. That my job gets to be to lead our student ministry. That my job is with a bunch of amazing leaders by my side to get to lead disconnected and unfulfilled students to find a full life in Jesus. That all we do is meant to build relationships and point students to Jesus. And the fact that that gets to be my job is mind-blowing and insane. And I am beyond thankful for it. 3 years ago, I was living in Cincinnati, and there was this job that appeared in front of me. And it looked and it seemed like it was going to be perfect. It seemed like everything was falling into place for us to go. And I was doing that thing where I was like, hey, I'm not going to get my hopes up. And my hopes were like sky high, and I couldn't help it. And then it just didn't happen. I remember I was in bed, like about to fall asleep one night, and my phone lit up. So I grabbed my phone, and I had gotten an email kind of late at night, and it was from this church. And the gist of the email was just like, hey, no thanks. And I just remember being like crushed and wondering why, and thinking to myself, like, God, it was like right there. Like, how could you mess that up? Like, it seemed so good. And then a few days later, I had a friend of mine call me and say, hey, man, I just talked to this guy in Georgia. And I remember kind of rolling my eyes and being like, Georgia? I'm a kid from upstate New York. Georgia was not ever in my brain. And he was like, hey, they're looking for a student pastor. Do you want his number? And I was like, sure, that's fine. And I think later that week, I had a phone call with the John McLarnon. And I remember I was pacing in my driveway in Cincinnati, trying to keep my nerves calm, just listening to John as he told me about, hey, what this church was and how long he's been there and what's happening now and the mission and where they want to go in the future. And it sounded amazing, but I remember one thing just going through my head, and that is, I am not qualified for that job. There's no way they hire me. I remember just thinking, this dude might hang up on me mid-sentence when I'm talking to him. But I figured, shoot your shot, right? Like, why not? I'll go for it. And here I am, working for an incredible church on a mission and with a mission that I wholly believe in, with a staff that is incredible and a bunch of students that I love. And in a community of people and believers unlike anything I've ever been a part of. I mean, if you're here and you're somewhat new and you're still feeling it out, if you are looking for a place where people will love and support and help and encourage and push and just walk with you, look no further. Because I have experienced it here unlike anywhere else, and it's been amazing. And so the moral of the story is that God knows what he's doing, and if you're 6'7", some people might just automatically think you're qualified. So that's fine. We're going okay. But so for the past about almost 3 years, we've been doing our very best to impact the students of Camden County. As a church, we are really doing our best in trying to point the next generation to the hope of Jesus, to the kind of life that Jesus offers, a full life. And it has been really, really cool to see the stories that have come from that, like Dallas and like Bryant, and just how incredible it's been to see those relationships form and what God's doing in them. And here's the thing, Chaos isn't a different church than our church. It's part of our church. Because these students are fully part of the church today, it's not just the future. Okay, so we don't do Chaos to be a different church. Because here's the thing about our church, like John talked about last week, we are a family. As followers of Jesus Christ, we are all adopted and welcomed into the family of God. And families, in case you didn't know, are multi-generational. You have parents, you have grandparents, you have great-grandparents. And we have a multi-generational faith. And as a church, we want to do our absolutely very best to step into that. So I want to talk about generations just for a few minutes this morning and what it means to be a multi-generational church. One of the most beautiful realities of the church, of the body of Christ, of the family of God, is the unity that comes with it, how it brings people together and how this family brings together different generations, different cultures, different races, and that all these very, very different people can gather together, can be unified, and lift up the name of Jesus together. And it's beautiful and it's amazing, and it is that because it's so uncommon in our world. But it works because we have what's most important in common, and that's Jesus Christ. That we may have all these differences, but man, we have one God. Now, here's the thing. That's not always easy. It can be easy to not keep our eyes fixed on what we have in common and instead pay more attention to our differences. Our differences can seem like they're everywhere. And as we talk about generations specifically, there are a lot of differences between generations. I mean, different generations grow up in different worlds. Okay, I was born in 1992. That makes me a millennial, and I grew up in upstate New York. Okay, my family took vacation trips every couple years when we could afford it from upstate New York to Daytona Beach, Florida, and we would drive. It started in the 90s in a station wagon where there's like a panel that looks like wood. Why you want to drive a car that has wood, I don't know, but it was the thing. We had that station wagon. It was amazing. We drove 18 hours. It was a long drive. And do you want to know what I did as a 90s kid in the car for 18 hours? I stared out the window. I used my finger and pretended like I was running really, really, really fast. And I jumped over trees. There wasn't an iPhone in sight. There wasn't an iPad in sight. And let me just tell you, all we did was cassette tapes of, I don't know if you grew up a Christian kid in the 90s, but there was this thing called Patch the Pirate, and there were these little kids, I would ask my dad, they were about an hour long, I'd go, Dad, how many more Patch the Pirates? And he'd be like, 9, and I would just hang my head in sadness. And then I would stare out the window some more. And let me just tell you, kids today they could never make that trip. They'd go insane. There's just such a difference. And even then, right there, it took me like 4 seconds before I was making fun of and hating on a younger generation. So that one's on me. But I mean, we really do grow up in different worlds. I got my first phone in 8th grade. It was a super thick silver flip phone. It stuck out about this far into my pocket. I'd pull it out of my pocket and I'd flip it, and I think if I hit someone with it, it would do some real damage because it was just that like thick. I could text on it, but I was not allowed to. It was too much money. And I had to wait until after 7 p.m. to call my girl Whitney because after 7 p.m. minutes were unlimited, okay? Nights and weekends, if you're with me. And I used it, then one phone upgrade sooner, I would accidentally hit the internet button. Remember there was an internet button? I don't know what it did because I would hit end so fast because I thought that if I opened the internet, it would charge my parents like $100 a minute. And I was just like hitting end. I don't know what that internet even did or meant, but it was there for some reason. Then in high school, I got an iPod Touch, and I could finally play games on my touch screen. I don't know why that was so cool. And then I got an iPhone when I went to college in 2010. And then everything changed, okay? Everything was now in my pocket. Apps for everything, social media came bursting forth. There was already Facebook, my man, Instagram, and all that stuff came through. And now my pocket, my phone, had everything. Okay, we had a student in that video who was born in 2011. That's when I was in college with my iPhone. He does not know of a world that doesn't have an iPhone. He has never been a part of a world that didn't have an iPhone. He is growing up in a completely different world. And listen, these generations are so different, sometimes it can feel like we speak different languages. Some of you, maybe a couple weeks ago, it was my birthday, and Michelle posted on Facebook and Instagram a post for my birthday, and I'll just read it to you. This is an exact quote from Michelle's post. Fam, high key, you the bestest to ever do it. It's giving tall birthday king vibes. King of my heart, Riz and only taking W's. I stand you harder than the Kardashians stand themselves. To the very end, my OG, I love you, straight facts. And I've never felt so loved. What's really funny is Michelle didn't really write that. She typed into an AI and said, hey, write my husband a birthday message with Gen Z language, and hit enter, and that's what it spit out. My favorite was Michelle's aunt commented on it, was like, happy birthday, I don't know what any of this means. Generational differences are real. And because of these differences, generations can often misunderstand each other. They just don't get what the other is into or why they're into that. We don't understand why they think like that. We don't understand why they even like that thing or watch that thing or listen to that, because it's not even real music. Real music was only in the 80s, definitely wasn't in the 2000s. And it can be really hard to love and spend time with people that you don't understand. And this is And because of this difficulty, we can often as a generation end up with the approach, whether on purpose or accidentally, that, hey, this new generation, they can just figure it out for themselves. What's the big deal? But when it comes to our faith and when it comes to following Jesus, when generations are left to figure it out for themselves, it generally doesn't go very well. So we as the church, we have to figure this out because we may be different, but we all belong to the family. We are each a part of the family of God, no matter our generation. We've been adopted. We are sons and daughters of the King, and what comes with this family is a whole lot of brothers and sisters. And when you're in a family, there's now a responsibility to love and lead and serve your fellow family members. And honestly, if you can't tell or haven't noticed already, the next generation is in desperate need of the hope of Jesus Christ, like every generation before them. So we have to find a way to connect with other generations and pass our faith down, because we have a multi-generational faith. The idea of faith being multi-generational, it's all over the Bible. You can see it as far back as Israel in the beginning of the Old Testament. Okay, and it was one of their most important passages of Scripture that calls them to do just this. It's called the Shema. And this was so important to Jews that they would say this passage as a prayer every morning and every night. And it goes like this. Deuteronomy 6 says, "Listen, Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. These words that I'm giving you today are to be in your heart. Repeat them to your children. Talk about them when you sit in your house, when you walk along the road, when you lie down, and when you get up." So love the Lord your God with all you have and pass that to the next generation. That's what this is saying. And it was so important that they would remind themselves twice a day of what they were supposed to do. And how are they supposed to do it? Through programs, through a school, through regimented discipleship curriculum? No, none of those things are bad. But they were supposed to talk and have conversations with their kids when they're sitting at home, when they're going to bed, when they wake up and have breakfast, when they walk, when we drive our kids to practice. It wasn't about adding things to their life necessarily, but it was instead about reorienting their life in a way that constantly showed Jesus to their kids. Teaching the next generation happens by allowing our relationship with Jesus to break into every area of our life and then sharing that with our children. And our goal as a church is to help and support you every step of the way. If you've been to our child dedication class, or maybe you haven't had a chance to do that, we talk about how two combined influences make a greater impact than two separate ones. And when the light of the church combines with the heart of a home, you get a stronger, more vibrant impact in the life of a student or a child for Jesus Christ. So the goal is that the family leads and disciples their kids, and that the church is secondary family to help support and help. And we see it again with Israel later, too. I mean, this was so important for Israel. It's even in the Psalms. In Psalm 78, he says this in verse 4, "We will not hide them from our children, but we will tell a future generation the praiseworthy acts of the Lord, his might and his wondrous works he has performed." Israel made it their priority and their goal to share the incredible acts of God that they had seen in their own lives with the next generation, so that generation after generation would be able to tell the stories, to share the story of Israel as a whole. And the purpose was to retell this history, this story, so the next generation will know the truth of who God is and what he's done. Oftentimes when we look at like the Old Testament, we think to ourselves, man, this is just a bunch of like crazy stories. And the truth is there are some wild stories. I don't know if you ever read Judges before, but it gets crazy in there. But the stories are truth. And all of the stories from the Old Testament are foundational truths showing us God, who he is, and his very character. And for Israel, those weren't just Bible stories, they were family stories. And now that we are a part of the family of God, they become our family stories too, because the God who did those things back then is the same today. And there's something so powerful in a story. They pull us in, they capture our attention, they allow us to imagine like, man, what if that happened to me? And our calling isn't much different from what Israel was doing here. We, as a church, as a family, are called to share the stories of our faith with the next generation. We're called to tell others what God has done in our lives so that they will know and follow him as well. And they are family stories, stories of God saving mom and dad, stories of God providing for grandma, stories of God rescuing our crazy cousin. And why do these stories matter so much? Well, he keeps going in Psalm 78. He says this in verse 7. "They were to rise and tell their children so that they might put their confidence in God and not forget God's works, but keep his commands. Then they would not be like their ancestors, a stubborn and rebellious generation, a generation whose heart was not loyal and whose spirit was not faithful to God." These stories connect the next generation to the one true living God. And therefore, it connects them to purpose and meaning. It gives them hope. It gives a way to a full life, both now and eternally. And it gives them a view of how their story fits into the family story. But if a generation grows up not understanding, man, how their story fits into the family story, they won't be able to pass it on themselves. And then a disconnect begins to grow. So we have to be able to tell family stories and pass our faith down, because Christianity was designed to be a passed down faith. I have been beyond blessed in terms of my family and how my family is and the generations before me. Both sets of my grandparents came to know Christ. I think they were in their 20s or maybe a little bit older. My dad's parents were definitely in their 20s. I remember, I think it was at like a tent revival in the 1940s. And I remember my grandma telling the story about how there was a call, like, if you want to come to know Jesus, come forward. And my grandma mentioned that before she could even turn to the right, my grandpa was just gone. He just took off. And then I think they were engaged, and then they got married, and they had 6 kids. I know they're a little bit crazy, a little psycho, but they had 6 kids, and man, did they pass that faith down. And they didn't just do it by taking them to church on a Sunday morning. Man, they taught them the word, and they lived out the word. They were the most hospitable people I could ever imagine. The Dodd House back in Binghamton, New York was like a revolving door. It was basically a hotel. My grandpa picked up hitchhikers, drunk guys, people on the street, and they were just in there for dinner. My dad mentioned on more than one occasion he came home and some drunk dude was just asleep in his bed. And my grandpa was like, don't worry about it, go somewhere else. It was just how the Dodd House operated. My grandpa picked up hitchhikers like all the time. And my dad said his move, because that's a pretty unsafe thing to do, his move was, as soon as they got in the car, he would hand them a Bible. He'd be like, hey, hold this real quick, and hand them a Bible, hoping maybe that would stop them from like stabbing them or something. It's a bold move, but that's what he would do. And he even actually ended up pastoring a church for a brief time. And then 4 of their sons were pastors at one time. And my dad just retired after 41 years of pastoring at the same church. And my mom just retired after about 30 years of teaching at a Christian school. And then they passed it down, because I'm one of 5. They had 5 kids, also a little bit crazy. And I will not be continuing that legacy to the best of my ability. At least not on purpose. Sorry, Mom and Dad. But they just passed it down to us. Let me tell you, my parents didn't just take us to church. They didn't just count on the Bible class I took at school to teach me. They lived it. And they taught us before bed, and they taught us in the morning. And my dad and mom taught me when I won a basketball game, and they taught me when I lost a basketball game. And they taught me in every area of life. And they continued to pass that faith down. And now I get to do it with my kids. And I thank God for my family, that I am beyond blessed to have generations before me who loved and followed God to the best of their ability. But you might not have a family like mine. Your mind might not fill with that joy and that awe when you think of your family. I'm going to guess you just don't have the same story. Not everyone grew up with a faith handed down. Your family might have pushed you away from the faith as far as they possibly could. But this is where the local church gets to shine. That we, as followers of Jesus, are family in this room. And you do not have to be blood related to be a family that passes their faith down. It is on each of us to step in and be the spiritual family that others need, because either the family of God is going to step up and rise up and do so, or a generation has to figure it out for themselves. And as we already said, that doesn't end up working out too well. The faith of the next generation is very closely connected to the faith before them. And each generation has to take personal responsibility, the older to pass it down, and the younger to actually listen and put their hope and faith in Jesus. So what does that look like? What does it look like then to be a multi-generational church? Well, my mind jumps to this chapter in the New Testament in a letter called Titus. Titus is a letter from Paul to a guy named Titus who is on this island called Crete. And Titus is trying his best to help the church adopt a different lifestyle, one that would be drastically different from culture. The church was trying to bring transformation by participating in culture and being different because of the love of Jesus. So how are they going to teach people? How are they going to walk people through that? Well, Paul wrote Titus this in Titus 2, and this is what he tells them to do. Hey, older men, Titus 2:2, are to be self-controlled, worthy of respect, sensible, sound in faith, love, and endurance. In the same way, older women are to be reverent in behavior, not slanderers, not slaves to excessive drinking. They are to teach what is good, so that they may encourage the young women to love their husbands and love their children, to be self-controlled, pure, workers at home, kind, and submission to their husbands, so that God's word will not be slandered. In the same way, encourage the young men to be self-controlled. And then Paul keeps going. So the first thing we notice here about the church at Crete is this is a multi-generational church. There are older men and younger men. There are older women and younger women. And Paul's method here for Titus on how to reach the next generation is simple. Hey, older men who have walked with Jesus and are walking with Jesus, help the younger men. Older women who are walking with Jesus and have walked with Jesus, help the younger women. Show them how to walk and live like Jesus. And this wasn't just a direction to the church staff on Crete. That was only Titus. This was to every follower of Jesus. This was a communal responsibility. And hear me out. This isn't just 30-year-olds hanging with 16-year-olds at house parties, which is where we do our small group with Chaos. This is a 70-year-old man having breakfast with a 40-year-old man and checking in. This is a mom whose kids are grown and out of the house, going over to the mom of toddlers during nap time and having a coffee and checking in. This is a 65-year-old, 70-year-old couple who's been married for 30 or 40 years, having breakfast or lunch or coffee with a newlywed 25-year-old couple and walking them through, man, what it looks like. And then everywhere in between. The family at Crete, the church family, the family of God at Crete, was passing on their faith. And we as a family need to do the same. We have to do everything we can to share and show the love and hope of Jesus with the next generation. And to give each generation a place in our church, in the family. And I get it. You might think like, yo, there's no way I could do that. I'm not qualified. I am not educated. The truth is we all have insecurities when it comes to this kind of discipleship and mentorship. And our insecurities come from a lie that we don't know enough, we don't do enough, we haven't studied enough. I mean, I had it when I was interviewing here. But the truth is this, every person who knows and follows Jesus has their own story of God at work in their life. Who we were before Jesus and who we are with Jesus. And it is our responsibility to share that story with generations, to give people a front row seat to what Jesus has done. It is our calling to share our specific story and allow it to become a family story. This is why we do house parties with our students. This is why our church does groups. This is why we do things like Rooted. They are so important. And when it comes to a group, maybe you're kind of intimidated or you went to a group and you remember thinking, these aren't really people I would hang out with. Well, the truth is, maybe you don't need more people to hang out with. Maybe you need some spiritual mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters in your life. Maybe you need a spiritual family who will come alongside you and walk with you and talk with you and encourage you and push you forward. So let me wrap up with a little bit of a challenge here. Young people, younger people, I'll let you decide if that's you or not. You need someone in your life, whether that be a mentor or someone to disciple you, someone older than you in your life. And you need to allow them to have a position in your life where you will actually listen to what they have to say. There's this temptation that if we just have our Bible and we have Jesus, we can rock it on our own. And that's just not true. We need people in our life. So find someone. Get on someone's calendar today. Meet them, go up to them after service, text them, call them, put something in the calendar, a breakfast, a lunch, a coffee, go over to their house, whatever it may be, because you need someone. We have a bad habit as a younger generation to think the older generation doesn't have value. And instead what we end up valuing is the person on social media who has a huge following and makes it look like they have their life 100% together and everything is perfect. But the truth is we don't need those people. We need someone with some gray hair. We need someone who's lived more life than us. Someone who has walked with Jesus longer, who can help us navigate this life. So my encouragement, find someone like that and let them into your life. And please hear me, this is not necessarily someone who is on staff at Christ Church Camden. We cannot handle that much. I do have some gray hair. John has a lot of gray hair. But we can't meet with everyone. We don't have that kind of energy or time or bandwidth. But let me just encourage you. There are some people here at our church. They might not be on staff, but man, do they love Jesus. And have they walked with Jesus for a long time? And man, would I know they would love to walk with you and help you. Older people, wise people, how about that? Seasoned people. Please don't be a generation who misses the opportunity to lead the next generation. I know it's intimidating, but step into it. Don't hide because culture is changing. Come closer. Don't avoid younger kids because they listen to weird music or they're doing some weird TikTok dance. Walk toward them because they need you. And trust me, God can use your story to help change the next generation. Our faith is a passed on faith from generation to generation. And we have to be a multi-generational church. We have to be a family who passes our faith down. And I am so proud of our church and how we are doing our very best to reach every generation, all generations. But man, we need you because you have a role in the family. And it can be right here on a Sunday morning. I don't know if you noticed, Christ Kids is going on back there. Listen, Christ Kids doesn't do babysitting, they do ministry. They are doing everything they can to reach a next generation for Jesus. So if you are involved and you serve in Christ Kids, please know your role is so much higher than keeping kids alive for an hour. You are impacting a generation for Jesus. Your role can be with us at Chaos, with our students. We are always looking to widen the circle. Man, we have some amazing leaders that I am so beyond thankful for, that this would not happen if it wasn't for them. But we would love for you to join. Because we're trying to expand. We're trying to reach more and more of the next generation. We want more house parties, to be honest with you. We have 4 houses right now that meet every Wednesday, and they're full of students who are sitting on couches and talking about what it looks like to follow Jesus. And our dream is that someday, years from now, on a Wednesday night, you can know that there are houses all over Camden County. There might be a house that's not even built yet, but in a few years, it is full of students who are talking about what it looks like to follow Jesus as they walk through the halls, what it looks like as they're in math class, when they're on the team and at practice, when they're in a play, whatever it looks like to follow Jesus in their everyday life. And we would love your help. Maybe with a group, maybe you're a host home, maybe you help us with Rush once a month, whatever it be, please know that we're not just entertaining students, we are doing our very best to reach another generation. Your role can be in an adult group, whether that means attending it or leading it or assisting in it, or it can be on a Thursday morning at Starbucks, or it can be at someone's house during nap time. You have a role in the family, and let's live out our calling that God has for us in this family. Let's step into what God has for us, because God can use your story to impact another generation. And when he does, I'm praying he does, and when we begin to step into this, man, I cannot wait to see what it looks like in Camden County. Let's pray. God, we love you. Thank you for being a God who loves and is strong and is compassionate and is merciful and is full of grace and slow to anger. And Lord, thank you for being that God to generation after generation. Thank you for being unchanging and for giving us a faith that we can pass down. And God, I pray for those of us who are here. Maybe we come from a great family. Maybe we come from a rough family. But Lord, I pray that we can know beyond a shadow of a doubt that in this room we are family. And there are spiritual mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters. And Lord, I pray that we can lean on each other and we can, with your power and your strength, reach generation after generation so that they can have the hope of Jesus Christ and know that they are loved and there is purpose. And God, together, we can reach generation after generation for you. We love you in your name. Amen.
Lord, I confess that I've been a criminal, stolen your bread, to sing my own songs. Lord, I confess that I'm far from innocent. These shackles I wear, I bought on my own. So take them off, God. The scarlet sins had a crimson cost. You nailed my debt to that old rugged cross. An empty slate at the empty grave. Thank God that storm
Let's go. Here we go. I was buried beneath my shame. Don't stay there, no. Who could carry that kind of weight? It was my truth till I met you. I was breathing but not alive. Come alive. All my failures I tried to hide. It was my truth till I met you. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. Now your mercy. Now your mercy has saved my soul. Now your freedom is all that I know. I'm free. The old made new. Jesus, when I met you, when you called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name, and I ran out of that grave, yeah, out of the darkness into your glorious day. You're filled with the glory of God, yes. We don't stand, we give glory back. Let's go. I needed rescue, my sin was heavy, but chains break at the weight of your glory. I needed shelter, I was in awe. Now you call me a citizen of heaven. When I was broken, you were my healing. Now your love is the air that I'm breathing. I have a future, eyes are open. It's when you call my name. I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. It's a good day. You called my name, and I ran out of that grave. Oh yeah, out of the darkness into your glorious day. 1, 2, 3, let's go.
Hey, thanks so much for being here this morning and celebrating our students and letting them kind of take the forefront. If you see a student somewhere, just give them a high five. Tell them they belong here and you're glad they're here. A few things real quick. If you are a guest or it's your first time, we would love to see you at 10 after. Just a really easy place to meet some people and get connected. If you go out these doors and take a right, you'll see Connection Point. There are a group of people there who would love to meet you. Like I said, just connect with you a little bit, answer any questions you might have. If you came this morning ready to partner with us in generosity, really easy ways you can do that with the QR code or our app. There's also some ushers at the door as you leave. And again, don't forget your reading plan in the back of that seat. That begins June 1st. We'll be walking through Proverbs. I'm really, really excited about what that is going to mean and what that's going to be for our summer. And then the last thing, hey, I hope you enjoy your long weekend. I hope you enjoy your week. But I hope in the midst of the beach and the cookouts and the family or friends or whatever, that we get a moment to just kind of pause and remember why we have a long weekend. And remember that how we have been blessed to live where we live and walk in our faith where we live as well, and how cool that is. So hope you guys have a great week. We love y'all. Bye.
Fails me right. I get enslaved to my own mind. Forgetfulness of your grace drags me around for miles until I see the corner of your smile. Oh, you were good to me before I knew your name. Your grace freed me from a selfish pain. I was lost and I felt the need for you. How could I ever leave? You've captured my heart in ways I didn't know I could be captured. Oh, you've captured my heart in ways I didn't know I could be captured. I fall so short from what I can't achieve. Start to agree with what I don't believe. My sensory fails the truth as I disremember who I am in you. Forgetfulness of your grace drags me around for miles until I see the corner of your smile. Oh, you were good to me before I knew your name. Oh, your grace freed me from my selfish pain, I was lost and I felt the need